Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Great to be here.
Oh, it's awesome to have you both.
Thanks, man. Good to be
I
back.
still can't believe he's sitting across the table.
Yes, he
I
is.
wasn't sure what was going to happen last year and how everything was working out. So before we get into everything, how are you doing?
In this moment, I'm feeling good, feeling hopeful, and still cautious.
Yeah.
Still cautious about how the world is, and I've got kids and all that. So, we're just taking things one moment at a time. And I've learned over the past year just that things don't ever happen as fast as I'd like them to.
Okay.
So I got to be patient.
Okay. I think patience has been tested for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
No
question.
doubt about that.
How you doing over there?
Really good. really well, actually.
I've never known a time that you're not doing okay.
For the most part, that's true. I mean, I have my moments like anyone, but
All right.
I mean, through all of this, I cannot complain very much. It's really been pretty good.
Joey is a consistent good vibe.
Good vibe.
Since I've known him, since the first time we met at a yoga studio.
It's right.
Whoa,
Aspenwall.
Up
wait
in
a
Aspenwall,
second.
yep.
Let's unpack.
That's the first time we ever met, actually.
Let's start right there.
What's the name of the?
Yoga
Flow.
Yoga Flow. Yep. I was doing a drum and chant workshop.
Dominique.
With Dominique.
Yes.
Yeah, Dominique Ponca.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we were talking afterwards. You were talking my ear off. You're stoked about drums.
I was auditioning.
I'm like, who is this good vibe man?
Oh my gosh, that is great.
And I remember he told me that he played kit.
Yeah.
And
Well, did I help you load the?
you probably helped me unload the drums,
Right.
Because that's who you are.
Yeah, and you had a van full of.
Like a van full of djembe drums,
Right.
African drums.
Right on.
And he told me he played kit, and I remembered that. In the back of my mind,
Yeah.
I left Rusted Root in 2005. This is probably 2010.
I'd say
11.
10 or
Right
11.
on. Right on.
And I had in the back of my mind that I wanted to play again because I hadn't played for about a decade after I left
Right.
the group.
Right.
And when it came time to find someone to drum for what would become the Sun King Warriors, I don't even know how I got a hold of you, but I remembered, and I heard your playing. I'm like, I gotta get this guy,
Wow.
because he can play way better than me, and because I needed somebody who could do what I was asking,
Got it.
because a lot of guys
Got it.
would get upset.
Yeah.
And he could do it and more, and that's what I looked for, and someone who I could just enjoy being around.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I mean, we've all met people that are just pains in the butts.
You don't say.
Really? I mean, it's
Yeah.
part of any business, any reality. But he
Yeah.
wasn't that. Just
Yeah.
always good vibe,
Right on.
and reliable beyond belief. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, Joe.
Jeez.
Wow, I might have to start looking at you a little more exalted over there.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That might be going too far.
Do me, baby. Bring that mic a little bit. I want you to be comfortable. Sit back. I just want to make sure I
Sure.
can hear you. That's
Sure.
all.
Beautiful.
All right. So you met him in a yoga studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time I was, and I still do this. I teach workshops. I show people how to use sound
Okay.
as a way to help with things like sleep and anxiety, and really just balancing the nervous system. It's all vocal sound.
Okay.
And I came up with this kind of combination where we would use rhythm and the sound together as kind of a team.
Got it.
Where we're creating, but we're also using just vocalization exercises to stimulate a nerve called the vagus nerve that helps to regulate the nervous system, really simply put.
Okay.
And that was kind of the seeds of what eventually would turn into a full business of that kind of work.
Looking over your discography and looking at the work, the area that I wanted to really inquire about with you right away, so I don't forget this, is in the 2000s you had a series of audio recordings.
Yep.
And one of them was it Revolution 9?
Yeah. So there was Revolution number 9.
Right.
Or no,
right.
Revelation number 9.
Revelation number 9. Yes.
Revelation number 9, which was an electronica record.
Yeah, and it won an electronic award, and that's why it was on my radar.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to understand, and I think that's where you're going in regards to your audio work, in regards to the rhythmic nature and the chants and so forth. Mm-hmm. Was that explored in the 2000s? Is that about right?
Yeah. So, the 2 years prior to that, I had been getting into Hindu devotional chant.
Okay.
There's a guy named Krishna Das, who is an American who went to India back in the 60s and learned this. It's a devotional chanting called Kirtan. And Kirtan it's basically call and response, and they're singing the names of God. In Hinduism, there's a whole bunch of them.
Right.
But the bigger deal, it's not so much of a worship as it is just bringing about the feeling of love. I'm not Hindu, but I was really attracted to the repetitious trance-like nature of the rhythm and kind of the back and forth singing that would happen. And it moved me. Like it was the first time I'd felt true ecstatic states. Just kind of being in this back and forth. He would do a call of a chant, then the group responds, and he would go back and forth. And over time, the tempo would speed up and speed up and speed up, and then you'd be in this crazy swirl of sound.
Okay.
And then after you think you couldn't deal with any more, then he would bring it back down, and you would just be completely spent.
Okay.
And just this utter feeling of blissfulness. So I got excited about that.
Okay.
And decided, because I'd been doing Rusted Root at a high level for a while, doing all the shows, and I tried to do something the opposite of that, which was some meditation records.
Okay.
And so I made an hour-long recording called Indigo.
Right.
It was literally an hour of breathing and the chant Om and the ocean. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got a record deal for this record, which was ridiculous. and this is where I met Krishna Das.
Got it.
In 2000, I did a second record with a local guy named Steve Shuley.
Okay.
He plays in it with a group called Life in Balance. A lot more ambient.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we made a record together called Pulse.
I'm familiar with that.
And that's also just really etheric meditation.
Atmospheric, would you say?
Very atmospheric.
Yeah.
The record you're talking about, Revelation number 9.
And that's more of electronic. How do they classify as electronica? Is that right?
It's
hard to classify genres, right?
It's as electronic as I could understand at the time. Rusted Root had broken up for the first time, and one of the things that happened for me was that I got, we were off the road. My wife and I decided to have kids,
right.
So I had my first child, and then my second one was on the way. Her name is Ella. She is now 18, and I was on the road again after being off the road because the band got back together,
right?
And I was miserable. I was not happy having to be away from family,
sure,
which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
So I put all of that into this record that I made in the back of the tour bus. I made it in my hotel rooms. I would do things like record the clock radio. I would borrow Mike Lebicki's guitars and record into my laptop.
Wow. Nice.
Wow.
And there's a lot of it's angry, it's angst, it's just in pain. Partly because I'm missing home, but partly because I see that Rusted Root is on the way down. Like I know in my heart that our best days are behind us.
Okay.
But I'm not admitting it out
Okay.
loud.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm feeling it and putting it in to that space.
Okay.
And that's probably of all the records, probably the most selfish record.
Got it.
Because it truly just I needed to have the outlet.
And it resonated, though. It resonated with people.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. A really small niche of folks got into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds like such a personal project, though. It's got to be satisfying when people actually, when it resonates, something so personal to you, but it finds a broader audience.
It is, and then when that wears off, then it kind of evaporates, and you're just, for me, I'm just left with the music again.
Got it.
And I either can sit and enjoy it, or I can just appreciate it.
Got it. No, I get it.
You're still glad that you did it.
I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yes,
But,
exactly.
it's somebody liking what I do is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. I'm grateful for it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if I live for that, I set myself up to be disappointed, because it's fleeting.
Yes.
No question about it.
Yeah, success, fame, all of it's fleeting, but then life's fleeting, too. And that's
Every last bit of it's temporary.
Yeah, exactly right. So let's just, and you've probably told this story so many times, I don't want to spend too much time there, but go back to the beginning. You're known as a drummer, but now you're not known just as a drummer.
True.
And what was your first love in terms of being introduced to music as a child?
First love,
instrument-wise.
Instrument-wise, it was a battle between drums and guitar.
Wow. Okay.
But the thing was, with guitar, I mean, I lived in very rural Pennsylvania, Somerset County, a little town called Rockwood. There's very little culture.
Okay.
Beautiful, lovely people, but not a whole lot of input
Got
in
it.
1970 whatever.
Right.
So I borrowed an acoustic guitar, but I didn't realize that you had to actually press the frets down. And so I would sit there and play the E string out of tune and all this. I didn't know how to tune the guitar. Right. And I'm like, how do they do this?
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. And I think the action on that guitar was so high that even if I tried, there's no way that anyone can ever press these things down.
Uh-huh.
So that can't be it. How did they do all that?
Wow. And you didn't know the whole tuning thing?
I didn't know any of it.
Right.
So I'm just kind of sitting there, but then I really fell in love with drums.
Yeah.
And I would listen to AC/DC on my headphones in my room with my turntable, and I'd listen to Quiet Riot,
Right.
and I would listen to Led Zeppelin and the Rush, and I would play in the air, and I did that from age 12 to 16, because there's no money for drums. It was just I stole a pair of sticks from the band room. Right? I just took them. I borrowed them. I didn't take them back, but I grabbed them.
Awesome.
And we would just play in the air, and I would imagine I had the kit in front of me.
Sure.
I did have a poster of Alex Van Halen on the
Nice.
wall. With,
Okay.
the whole band, the David Lee Roth era Van Halen.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
He had the 4 kick drums, and so I would just drum and look at that kit. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm aiming at.
I could be doing this.
4 kick drums.
Got it. I used to wonder, I would compare Alex and Neil Peart, and I used to say, okay, I think Neil's probably playing everything. Not quite sure Alex is playing all those drums.
Yeah, I mean,
As a kid.
he was playing all of them 9 times a second.
Yeah, no
Oh,
doubt
yeah.
about that.
But both great drummers.
yeah.
But it was all.
Did you feel a struggle even as a young person between the 2 instruments, or did you naturally just gravitate to both of them?
I didn't see that there was that I had to choose.
Okay.
But I just as a young person, I just gravitated to the thing I was good at faster.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But I always wanted to play guitar. I always wanted to sing, but was terrified of it. And it took decades to get over that part.
Do a lot of drummers play guitar too, but these drummers, some well-known drummers, are not exposed as guitarists because they're just viewed as one particular role?
I experienced that. People are like, well, what are you doing? You're such a good drummer. Why don't you just go do this thing? And I get it. Yeah, people want you to be what they want you to be.
Yeah.
but I know enough. I'm old enough now to know that I have to follow what I'm compelled to do.
Got it.
And I still play drums.
Right.
When Sun Kings play, Joe and I will do like double
Yeah.
drumming things,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
lovely.
Uh-huh.
But for me, not that I'm the world's greatest at anything, but I've done over 2,000 shows and played the best of the best places.
You've done it.
And did everything over and over again, which is a blessing. And I've had the experience of plateauing multiple times where I would get stuck in a spot, and then I would take a break, and then I would come back, and I would grow again.
Okay.
Sure.
And I had done that enough times to realize, all right, there's not too many more places I'm compelled to grow again.
Got it.
I love grooving with the band. I'm not really attracted to being a chops guy. I mean, I can do some of that stuff, but it's not. I don't need to have the fastest, triplet 16th notes like that.
Sure.
That I'm not compelled to do that right now.
Okay.
What's really challenging for me is to write a great song and to sing it with full emotion and try to play a little bit at the same time. Like if I can do all those things at one time, then I'm at my edge.
Okay.
And that's, for me, I know that's where the juice is. Like I need to be at the edge of like, this shit's going to explode. I'm going to fall flat in my face and fail, or it's going to be, or I'm going to grow somehow.
Got it. Take me to the beginning of Rusted Root in regards to the music style. Were you already heading into that style of music? Because it sounds like you probably grew up similar to probably Joe and I. You're a rock and roll kid. Yeah, all the way. So how did that happen, and what got you there before Rusted Root appeared and it pushed you in that direction?
I wasn't there. I joined Rusted Root in 1990.
Right.
I was at University of Pittsburgh with Patrick Norman, who's a bass player. We were really good friends. And Liz Berlin, who we were in a class together, an African drumming class together.
Okay.
But we didn't know each other. But she had heard that I could play kit, and she had come up and asked me if I would help them make a demo tape. It was a cassette tape for the Graffiti Battle of the Bands contest.
Right on.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Graffiti Rock
We all
Challenge.
know it well.
Yep. So I went to the first rehearsals, and it was Glebicki.
Yeah.
Glebicki
Yeah.
had these songs. Actually, I told her no at first. It was the first thing. I was like, no, I don't have time for this.
Okay.
But you know what? If you have some sort of a demo tape, let me hear it. Maybe there's something I can add to it.
Got it.
I was fully prepared to not do this.
Got it.
And I listened to the tape on the way home one day and was like, oh, this is special. There's like some real juice here. I got excited about it. It was unlike anything I'd heard. And when we got together in rehearsals, I would try playing some of the standard things that I knew, and Mike would stop and go, no, it needs to be more tribal. I'm like, what is tribal? What is tribal?
Yeah.
But I knew a little bit of what he meant because I'd been doing African drumming, and so
Got it.
So he's like, I don't want to hear so many cymbals, because I was playing all this fancy stuff. And he's like,
that's what I wondered.
And so I would just put things that I would play on a cymbal onto tom-toms.
Got it.
And he was like, yes, that's it. And I got I'm super adaptable, so I got the vibe that this is more about dancing. This is more about the feeling. And as I kind of was just catching his vibe, and he plays kind of like a drummer on his guitar. He's super rhythmic.
Right.
And that was really easy for me to understand and just to kind of get into. And what I had to unlearn, so I'm classically trained, and I had to unlearn all the classical stuff.
Of course.
Because I would ask him, well, what do you want me to play? And he would say, I don't know. Just feel it. I went, huh.
What is that?
I had to make it up. And what I made up was my response to his guitar playing.
But that's to me, that's organically beautiful. Sure. That just is that is. I'm not saying it wasn't difficult at the time, but that's the purest expression right there, right?
It felt like that, and it really, as we kept writing and kept moving through, we would practice. Those first 2 years, we'd practice literally every day, 4 to 5 hours. So we really got chemistry going between
Yeah.
Mike and Liz and Patrick and I.
Yeah,
There's this real synergy.
Right.
We could anticipate each other. He knew my playing enough. I knew his playing enough. Patrick knew our playing enough that we could start to move together, and there didn't have to be a whole lot of conversation. So that, I think that was also a big part of just a lot of hours together.
I bet.
But each song would come by, and like we started to see this small body of work start to emerge that had its own thing.
Yeah.
And so I remember like deliberately not trying to be like anything. Mike would always say, I don't listen to any music now. I'm just going to try to work with what we have here.
Interesting.
And that was an interesting idea to me. Like, don't listen to anything else right now. Don't steal from anybody.
Sure.
Just like listen to what's happening and see if we can react to that.
Did you do that too? Did you start doing that?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't as a purist as he was, or at least he said he was.
Yeah.
But it.
I think you hear that.
We kind of we distinctly avoided anything that sounded like anything else. If it started to sound like, oh, this is too much Talking Heads, or this is too much Peter Gabriel, we'd be like, nope, get rid of that part.
Got it.
Try something different.
Got it. That's hard, though.
It was super hard, because that's all we ever did before.
Absolutely. And music, and that's the story of popular music, right? Everything built on everything else. Everything was a reflection in some way of what came before.
Yeah.
No
and
doubt.
to be purely original, or try to be as original as possible, has got to be extremely difficult.
Well, you're stealing from someone, whether you really know it or not, half the time.
Yeah.
And it goes more than just who you're inspired by, or what your influences are. Sometimes it's just there.
Yeah.
Even if you're trying to suppress it, it's just in you. It's just like intrinsically part of what you do as a musician. So you don't always know that you're
That's right.
that you're trying to stop sounding like someone else. It's tough. It's there no matter what.
I think too, it was when we would rehearse, we would stay with a verse.
Okay.
And we would hang out with that verse for half an hour and just repeat it. And over time, it would just like start to morph and change.
Mm-hmm.
Rhythmically, it would change. Sometimes he would change his phrasing, vocally or guitar wise. And then we'd all, at a point, we'd all know when it would drop in. You'd start to feel this effortlessness.
Right.
And we go, there it is.
Yeah.
This is how this goes. And we would approach, each part like that. We would just repeat, almost like we would get into I don't want to get super hippied out here, but it's kind of like an altered state.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of putting yourself into a flow state through the extreme repetition.
Got it.
Sure.
And that,
Got it.
for me, that was formative.
I bet.
The understanding that I could put myself into a different state of consciousness and access different kinds of creativity. Mm-hmm. It was the rhythm. It was the repetition. There's no, we're not doing any weird drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, at some points that happened, but
Of course.
in the writing
Of course.
time, it was not about that at all. It was pure that way. Yeah.
When you look at the entire body of Rusted Roots' work, being that you lived it, can you see, as a fan looking at it, can you see how it evolved and it weaved and it changed a little? Can you still go back and look at that?
Yeah, I'm acutely aware of it because I was in it every day.
Yeah.
There for every single bit of it.
Yeah.
And I can feel our relationships in each record.
I bet.
I
bet.
The Cruel Sun, which was our independent record. Mm-hmm. I can feel the newness. I can feel like the excitement. I can feel the noviceness, in myself and in the playing.
Right.
But it's also, we're completely committed. Same thing in When I Woke. That one we knew we had something.
Okay.
We had a producer, Bill Bottrell, who knew how to capture it.
Yeah.
He didn't get in the way of it. Really let us just be us.
Yeah.
And then he captured it and made it beautiful. And then over time, like we right about that time when the success really took off, we had some inter band challenges, and relationships got messed up.
Success, right? I mean,
Well, this is
money,
the
success,
age-old
the whole thing.
story.
Yeah.
I won't get into the
Sure.
the nitty-gritty of all
Sure.
that, but I could tell, from that time, we had done the next record was Remember.
Mm-hmm.
We had all the money we could want for a record. We called it the $500,000 suntan. That was the record. We went out to Skywalker Ranch, the Star Wars studio, George Lucas's place, and we were out there for a couple months.
Yeah,
and,
right on.
we had Jerry Harrison from the Talking Heads was the producer for that one.
Right.
And Pro Tools had just come out, and he wanted to Pro Tool everything and did.
How did that
And-
go over with you and the rest of the band members, process-wise?
It didn't. First, the record still is beautiful, but it took out, in my opinion, a lot of the juice.
Okay.
The stuff that kind of made us, which was we weren't perfect. We weren't like in perfect time all the time. Mike's vocal tuning wasn't always quite in, and that was a part of the juice.
Okay.
Sure. And then it's for us, there was this interplay between us that we had that I still think is pretty special. And that wasn't allowed to come through. It was, everything was chopped.
So yeah.
Like it is now. You know,
Right.
and
Oh,
we make records like this now.
Right.
So I think we suffered from that. I think we didn't take enough time in between records to write and rehearse again and kind of get find the juice. Everybody was exhausted because we had just spent literally a year straight on the road.
Right.
Yeah, it's that. My God, this story has happened to so many groups.
Of course. Of course.
So yeah, from there, like it was still did well, but from there I can just see the quality and the relationships. You kept on degrading through each year, and as a result, I think that the music suffered.
And you were also in music and having your success at a very interesting time in music, because in 99, 2000, 2001, the guts of the revenue of the health of the bands was started to be eroded right away because the format changed, and that affected everybody, right?
It did. Yep. We well, our so after we broke up for 9 months or whatever it was, our comeback record was scheduled to be released on September 11th, 2001.
I read that.
Wow.
I read that.
Man.
I read
And
that.
it was an omen of what was to continue to come.
Yeah. I mean,
The record was called Welcome to My Party. We did it with Bill Bottrell again, and I thought it was a really actually solid record.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff on there.
Yeah.
But we had this convergence of the labels consolidating. So all the people that were working on that record when it was time to be released had gotten fired, and so there's this whole new regime that didn't have any attachment to it.
Right.
Blah blah blah.
Right.
Didn't do well at radio. And in the meantime, people are downloading everything left and right.
Sure.
The revenue that we would be making was evaporating.
How did that look to you as an artist who was having success at the cusp of the change? Because it's an interesting point. Like your optic of it is much different than a music fan who doesn't even understand the technology. They just know they're going out on the web and grabbing stuff. But you're looking at it as that's intrinsically yours. That's your product.
Well, we'd experienced it in small ways when we played the Civic Arena and we had people bootlegging our T-shirts, and I would go out to the parking lot and confront these guys. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me!
What are you doing?
Do you realize that
Right.
XYZ?
Yeah.
And then there were some record shops in town that had bootleg recordings. They were selling for $30. And I almost got arrested.
No kidding.
Because I'm like, dude, I'm taking these. This is our material.
These are mine.
If you go ahead and take them, I'm calling the police. But I was angry. It's like,
sure,
we had worked our tail off to get to a spot, and I believed we deserved every last bit of it, and not really understanding that if someone's bootlegging your record and selling it, dude, you're doing really well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a marker.
it's a marker. I was still mad about it.
Sure.
And when the illegal downloading stuff came into play, that it made me equally as angry.
Yeah.
And and then I look at it with today's eyes, where people give away the music as part of the promotion and make all their money on touring.
Yeah.
And I see why.
Yeah.
But
how do you feel about that, though?
Well, I feel like young artists have been encultured that that's how things work now, and I still think it's wrong, because I mean, the argument always comes into play. Well, records are so much cheaper to make right now. Well, yeah, you can make a record cheaper, but to actually have a good engineer and someone that knows how to mix and a great mastering and
well, look what we got. What we have today is a prime example of what they don't have anymore. An engineer, high quality audio people, engineering,
right.
A well constructed record doesn't really exist today.
Yeah,
that doesn't.
So there's I sound like a 53-year-old guy complaining.
We all do, my friend.
We all do. There's no stopping.
I just realized I've become that guy.
Back in my day. Well, it was such a seismic change in entertainment, period. I mean, yes, the music first, but then it went into DVDs being ripped, and it affected the film industry as well.
Yeah.
But the music industry especially, and now that you have to tour to make money, when Paul Stanley at Kiss, we had the opportunity to work with him for years, and the old thing was we used the tour to support our record sales and make T-shirt money, and hopefully you come out with something.
Sure.
Now the tour is everything. The music's a throwaway, which that's unfathomable to me.
It doesn't make too much sense, and I still have I still hold out that that's going to rebalance itself out, but I don't quite know how. I know that there are other ways to make income that don't rely on sales. I actually learned early, after I left Rusted Root, that when I would sell my my little meditation records, that if I sold 1,000 of those at $15, I made more than I made in a year with Rusted Root.
It's incredible.
With multi-platinum records.
It's incredible.
Wow.
That's really a shame.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So, Sun King Warriors. Talk about the stylistic changes, because I was Rusted Root. I was a listener. I wasn't an enthusiast of Rusted Root. I listened to heavier music, and I don't know, it just didn't resonate with me. But this project does a lot. And it's not because I knew this guy so well personally. It's a different stylistic change. Is this representative of it being your project without the band, but also you primarily not playing drums and being out front and doing the vocals and the guitar work? Is it different in that regard too?
I think it's all the above.
Okay.
I've always been attracted, obviously, to the heavy rhythmic element of music, and I felt like I didn't feel Rusted Root was complete in that way. I felt that it needed to be more rhythmic.
Interesting.
if that's possible.
Okay.
And heavier.
Okay.
Heavier drums.
A heavier version of Rusted Root. I'd have to wrap my head around.
Well,
you can hear it because you're there, but I would have to sit and figure, like, how would that sound? That'd be different.
Well, that and just I have different things to talk about than.
Got it.
Every writer has different things to talk about.
Got it.
And different joys and pains and thoughts, and I've been writing for a long time. As I mentioned, I was terrified to do it in front of people. I was worried of humiliation. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think my voice was good enough. And I had 2010, 2011, I had a health problem that was turned out to just be an anxiety attack. But I
saw your TED Talk.
Yeah, I thought it was a heart attack.
Excellent talk, by the way.
Thank you. And that spurred me. I realized, if I'm gonna give my kids the opportunity to know this part of me, and give myself the opportunity to know this part of me, then now is the time to do it. And so I took, and Joe probably remembers this, I was in the studio from 2010 till 2015, 5 years.
5 years.
3 hours a month. That's all I have money for. Was 3 hours a month, and we go in, and it wasn't until I think 2014 that I realized I was going to release it.
Okay.
It was just like a 5-year therapy session.
Okay.
Trying to figure. I would cry in the vocal booth, and Sean McDonald, who's the producer, he's like my babysitter, and he would walk me through it, and we would figure shit out. And
Right.
Wow.
But anyway, it was the impetus was to have something that would feel like scratch that itch. Like I wanted some real meaty guitars.
No doubt.
I wanted big drums. I wanted people that could really play. I wanted to be the worst one on stage.
Wow.
Right. I want to be the weak link in the chain.
Wow.
So that so that I grow.
Sure.
Because I can walk in and I can do a drumming gig, and I'd be in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But this was more. I know I have to put myself on my edge, or I'm going to get bored.
Huh. So, your first live gig, do you remember, with Sun King Warriors? Do you remember when it was? And how'd that feel for you?
Well, with me,
With you.
we did St. Francis U. I think it was the first time I ever played
It
with
was
you
like
guys.
a rhythm renewal or something.
That boiler room.
Yeah, the
gig.
Boiler House. Yeah,
That was the first time I ever played with you guys for real.
that's right. That's right.
And we played for a while that night, and I literally met the guys.
Wow.
Because we played, you came to my house. This was back when I was living in Pittsburgh.
Right,
You came to my house, and we played a couple of the tunes that you had sent me.
That's right. That's right.
And at that point, it was like, okay, can you come play this gig at St. Francis U? So I did, met the guys.
Yep.
And I remember we played that night, and we played a few of the tunes that we talked about, but the rest of it was just winging it.
Yeah, here, Joe, play this rhythm. Go.
That's
we
great,
played for
though.
2 hours.
That's great,
That's
though.
exactly what
That's
it was
great.
too,
That's
and
great.
this was so much different than what I was used to before.
Sure. Sure.
And just literally shaking hands with the guys before the gig and playing. But man, what a ride! Been playing with them ever since. That was 2015, I think, 14 or 15,
Something like that. Yeah, probably
Yeah.
probably 14. Yep.
It's crazy.
So when you were up there for that first gig, though, and you're standing up there, and you were just talking earlier about confidence. Can I go out and do this myself? I mean, what was it like for you?
I'm peeing in my pants. Is what's happening.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah. Oh no. And just like I know that I have to do it, and I know that I'm committed to it, and it's just working through that first layer of anxiety, which takes maybe 3 songs, and I planned it well. It was in front of a friendly crowd.
Okay.
These are all people I know and care about me and give me
remember that.
they give me all the breaks in the world. So it wasn't
Understood.
like playing at a Nick's Fat City for drunk frat guys and getting stuff
Yeah, I might
thrown
have
at
been one
you.
of those drunk guys.
Drunk metalheads. Yeah.
Judgy, really judgy people.
Yeah, no, it was good, and then it just it was satisfying,
I bet.
and we like each other. All the guys get along and like each other, and I that was the other part, is that I wanted to have a group that we'd also have camaraderie, where we would talk not just at the gigs, but we would at some points hang out. We could talk about music.
Great.
But
a good hang.
Yeah, it was just, it's comfortable to be around the people.
Yes.
It's not ever a big
Got it.
you have to watch what you say around so and so.
Everybody's about the same age in the band, roughly.
Pretty much. Yeah, we're late, mid 40s to early 50s.
Yeah. Don't you think there's a good juice that comes with that? Just that little bit more world experience, things that you maybe, issues that hopefully wouldn't arise that may have arisen 20 years ago?
I would definitely agree with
Yeah.
that. I think part of it is a function of really no psychos in the band, number one. But
right.
beyond that, yeah, we've
That's wordy.
been through.
No psychos. You're a psycho.
Thank
Naturally.
you. I appreciate
In a
that.
good way, Joe.
If I don't know which one's the psycho, it's got to be me. But no, and I've mentioned this to the guys before a couple of gigs. I really, really just love how there's no one in the band rubbing you the wrong way even.
Yeah,
So it's just very easy hang and a very easy process.
Yep.
And that makes a big difference. Now, if we were all 25, would it be the same? Who knows? Maybe not. But there's a certain growth that happens when you're in a bunch of bands. Smaller scale like I was, or larger scale, it's all the same type of issues that can happen with personalities and whatnot.
Right.
You know, when you hit your 40s, you know, I'd like to think that we've grown out of that and we can kind of see the bigger picture and enjoy the fact that the band is a bunch of cool people and the hang is there. It's a nice therapeutic process.
And the
awesome.
musicians are more experienced too. They're in terms of from a creativity standpoint, right? You think what's it like writing now or even playing now as opposed to, and again, I realize it's guitar now and vocals primarily for you and it was drums then, but that creative process, how is that different now?
It is, in some ways it's where I've, it's similar to where I've been before.
Okay.
When I was just writing drum parts with Mike, except now I'm working the melodies and the lyric and the guitar stuff. But I stick with that process of repetition. So it'll start. Usually I've written every record so far in the car.
Okay.
You know, on long drives.
Okay.
I'll get into a spot, into a zone. On a long drive, I don't listen to any music on the drive. I just kind of like sit with things, and a melody will show up. I'll sing it into the phone, and then other parts will appear, and I'll put them out. Same thing with lyrics. I'll just kind of like let things sort of roll around in the head, and then a line will come, a second line will come, and then it'll usually, show itself. And then after I've got that sort of blurt of creativity, I'll take it back to my chair in my office, and I'll figure out what the chords are. Figure out, sometimes the lyric lines come in the wrong order, so I'll rearrange and kind of refine and refine. Usually takes 7 to 10 levels of refine until something's ready for these guys to play to.
Sure.
I'm always curious about not so much the lyrical portion. I think there's so much availability in creation in the ether, what's available with lyrics, right? Look at all the works of art that there are, all the books, the millions and millions of books.
Right.
I get that. But on the structure, on the musical structure side of it, I always wonder, is it hard or is it difficult at times to make sure you're not being too repetitive in certain ways or doing something that how do you make that determination? This is a familiar vibe to me.
Yeah,
I can go with it. I can run with it. Well, no, that sounds too much like that. I can't go in. Do you make a conscious decision to make those changes, or is it just naturally come?
If I'm bored, I change it. If I can't listen to it the whole way through and go, oh yeah, that's dropped in, that's good, then I change something. I won't let anything stand that doesn't make me excited.
Okay.
I've learned that much. I've recorded plenty of things, and released some things back in the day that just were okay.
Interesting.
And so I don't need to do that anymore.
Okay.
And so it might take me a lot longer to do the process.
Got it.
But I learn not to be addicted to completing things.
Got it.
Got it. There's like a dopamine hit that I get if I make something and it's all done, but it's fleeting, and it in the big picture it's unsatisfying if I haven't really given it its time. Because each lyrical line or each full song or even like a rehearsal for a show, it needs the time that it needs, and it always. When a song is dropped in, your favorite songs, like they've got the juice. So I'm familiar enough with that,
right,
to know when it's not there, and when it's not there, then
keep working on it.
Yeah, we work on it, or I give it time. Like I've written some things were on the first record were written in 1999.
Got it.
Some things on the second record were written during the first recording of the record, and they just weren't fully baked, and I knew it, and I wasn't gonna why, there's nobody waiting for these records, so why not just give the creativity its time?
Sure.
Another question I always love to ask artists is, how hard is it to determine what makes the record and what doesn't make a record? And how much material, like on this last record, how much was left in the cutting room floor? How much usable material's out there?
Hardly any.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the way I make records, I spend so much time ahead of time working things that I know basically what's going to be on the record, because we play these things out live too, before playing,
Okay.
before recording.
Good.
And we get to sit in them and feel like, what's the audience do here.
Sure.
I see what you're saying. You're testing them out on the audience
Always testing.
before you actually went to vinyl.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I didn't know. Okay, didn't know that.
On the second record.
Didn't know that.
First record, no.
Okay.
The second, because we weren't a live band yet.
Got it.
First record was pretty much baked.
Got it.
And then I put the everybody together.
Okay. That's a little more difficult, am I right?
It was what it was.
Just different.
I don't. It was just different.
Got it.
Yeah. But I knew that we had because I have a great group of people, we could test things, and so the second record and now the material for what will be a third record has been tested quite a bit. There's a few more that need to be realized and tested this year.
He's got guts. Like, we really will, even with cover tunes, we will take chances and play tunes.
Yeah.
The original music, we will play them, even if we've not rehearsed them a ton in rehearsals. We will still take a chance and play them live. And it's just, that is so nice that we don't have this thing like where the guys in the band freak out, like, oh my God, we can't play that song. We haven't rehearsed it enough yet. That's not ready to be played on stage.
Right.
We are, we're a bit of a different vibe there. A lot of bands get creeped out by that. We're kind of like, nah, we know enough of this.
Yeah.
We can do this on stage, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. And sometimes it
Sure.
it crashes into the wall.
The thing is
That's okay.
So what?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Isn't that great,
Everyone
though?
there,
That's
I
great.
think, understands
Yeah.
what the song maybe was, or what it was supposed to be, or what we were going for.
Yeah.
In other words, it's still genuine either way. And I really dig that idea of, we've got enough guts to play this in front of people. We've got it worked out maybe some of the way or most of the way, but either way, we've got the guts to try this.
And usually, again, the weak link is me. I'm usually the one that screws it up. These guys usually know all their parts backwards and forwards. But if everything is safe all the time, there's no edge.
Right.
And with the edge, sometimes something will pop out in the heat of the moment when someone's really nervous. That's brilliant, and I'm always looking for that. What's going to feed this some extra energy that it doesn't have yet.
Yeah. Right.
And I try to communicate with these guys, and I tell them not to worry. I communicate that I'd rather destroy this on stage and than not take the chance.
Yeah.
Right.
Because who cares?
Yeah.
That's not to say that I want us to have a terrible show, but there's room. It's just a moment in time.
Yeah, we have plenty of tunes that we know well that that we're going to go and play live, and but there's always at least a few. It's a bit of a risk, and what? So what? It's too many. I think too many young musicians are. Oh no, it's got to be worked out perfectly before we embarrass ourselves. There's growth to come from taking some chances on stage.
There's the word. I guess I was searching for earlier. Growth. Yeah.
No doubt.
Maturity, growth. It's growth. That's the word. And this is, this is your project. So just, if you would just talk a little bit about the difference between, obviously there's an age difference and years have gone by, but your own project versus being part of a collaborative group effort, and any striking differences there that are just so readily apparent to you.
Yeah, well, it gave me, first of all, being up front, in the middle, right at the edge of the stage, gave me such a appreciation for Mike Glebicki.
Got it.
And I was like, really like feeling like how like I would give him such a hard time about every single thing. Like, dude, you need to open your eyes. Man, your guitar's flat.
Yeah.
I would ride him.
Got it.
and then I get out there myself. I'm like, oh wow, he had so much to deal with.
This is harder than it looks.
And this is a lot. Yeah, this is a lot to deal with, man.
No, I get it.
And then and you've got like pedals to step on.
Sure.
And there's like 6 strings, and you can't just hit it. You have to like hit all the right notes.
Right.
Pressure.
Yeah.
So that was one big striking difference. Live, and just having extra compassion from my former bandmate. But it gave me an opportunity to like kind of put my spin on how do I not just like write songs and play shows, but how can I set up a situation for everybody that they don't feel like hired hands, that we all feel that there's a camaraderie, that everyone feels like they've got ownership over this thing, so that we all want to do it, that it's not this burden. Because I know what that feels like, when someone hires you and you're just going to play the show, and I want their energy. I want their enthusiasm and the passion. We split all the shows evenly.
Yeah.
It's not any of
You
that.
want a real band.
I want a band.
Yeah,
Yes.
what I hear you telling me.
It's
you want a real band.
I don't want a solo project.
Yeah.
If I want to do that,
Got it.
I'll go do that.
Right.
But
Got
that's this having a band is appealing to me. I'm compelled to have to make music with a bunch of people that are into similar things. And even like when we're choosing covers, if someone really hates the cover, I can't possibly do it, even if it's my favorite cover, because I know someone's there going, gotta do this damn song again.
So that sounds like a real band to me, with equal voting and everything in terms of.
Well, there's no voting.
Yeah.
There's no voting.
Either it is or it isn't.
Vote on nothing.
There's no voting. It's
Fair enough.
It's benevolent dictatorship.
Well, yeah.
I'm being honest.
There's a way to make that work too.
Yeah, but I really try to bold the benevolent part. Hopefully, I'm not too much of a tire.
It works out beautifully.
He's still here. He's still here.
I figured they would throw me off the ship if it wasn't any good.
You spend quarantine, I'm guessing, very creative, right? Spent your time writing, recording. Besides most of us losing our minds the first couple of months trying to figure out what the society was doing to us.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I came out of it with a double album.
Okay.
I didn't write one thing.
Are you serious?
Not one thing. Just in the last couple months has that come back.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was pissed, because I'm thinking at the beginning of it all, wow, if this is gonna be a couple months, I'm gonna come out of this with this just tremendous body of work.
Sure.
And nothing.
Wow.
And I attribute it to just not feeling fully safe in the world.
Got it.
Not feeling like I understand what the heck is happening. And I think that, I'm an empathic person, so I feel stuff.
Yeah.
That got in the way, and I didn't want to write a pandemic record. I didn't want to write a Trump record, or being angry about politics record.
Right.
I'm not compelled to do that.
Yeah.
And so,
in hindsight, you probably made the right decision. Try to do it anyways. I mean, you've tried to force that.
Yeah, no. I knew not to force it, and so I spent my creative time. I write articles about music and wellness and do research based stuff, and so I knew I could do that. That's something that would be helpful.
Okay.
I would learn something, and maybe the article would show somebody something that could help them. I could get behind that. Like that was the thing I needed to do.
Got it.
And I still do.
Got it. You said there's a third record coming.
It's in the writing stage.
Okay.
We've got like four or five like really really good ones There's a brand new one that we're going to actually work on tonight.
Yep.
And probably about 3 more in the hopper that are still percolating. So it'll either be a full record or maybe like an EP.
What's a full record anymore, Jim? Like I always question because you give a lot of material in your, just a lot of songs on both your records. I mean,
9 to 10 songs.
Okay.
It would be a full record. I don't know. I don't know that we need to do a full record.
Okay.
I think it might be just more advantageous to do 2 EPs and have two releases over, one a year or something.
Got it.
Because I mean, it actually really is expensive to do a really good record.
I can imagine.
Really,
And,
it's very much so.
Yeah.
It's really expensive.
And it's just a ton of work to do it right.
Right.
And I don't, I made a pact with these guys and to myself that I don't want to do fast, quick records that aren't like something that we can like sit back and listen to and go, yeah, this is really sweet.
Yeah. Are you still analog at heart, or have you let digital come in and take over the recording and the production values?
We're all digital, but I work with Sean McDonald. He's got all the best of the best, and he makes everything sound analog.
Yeah, right.
He really knows how to record drums. Guitars are always big. The voices are right. I mean, he's not just an expert, but he understands me, and he understands what the sound of this group, the potential of the sound can be,
which is imperative with a producer, right?
Yeah, I mean he gets it, and even helped to create some of it, so it's and I tell him and all the guys, it's like I want you to have license to do what you're compelled to do, and only if it's not working will I tell you,
Yeah.
And I'll tell you when it is working.
Absolutely.
As well. But I don't want to write every single thing.
Got it.
Sometimes I'll give Joe an idea, but then he takes it and he puts his twists on it.
Massage it, yeah.
And same with, other things. I'll have ideas, but the ideas are always pretty basic.
Got it. Are you when I say analog at heart, if aside from your actual music production, do you still listen to records, albums? Do you still have an affinity for doing that?
I don't listen to vinyl.
Okay.
If I had a really good system,
Uh-huh.
I would put them on because I like the tactileness of
Uh-huh.
it. My son does. He likes to listen to vinyl.
Right on.
So
I like
I
to hear
guess
that static.
Yeah.
And all that crinkling. I find that like soothing almost.
I mostly listen in the car. So until they get a turntable for the key.
For the back seat.
Well, all of us are probably old enough somewhat to kind of remember 8 tracks. We don't want to admit that,
sure.
but that was a thing at one time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We
right
had-
in the middle of the song.
I never understood how they divided those segments up.
It was like magic.
I guess it was like magic.
Like magic.
And they would fade them at times too. Like they would fade the
Yeah,
right in the middle of
the
song,
weirdest times.
Go to
Yeah,
track,
I would
2 to
agree.
track 3. And then fade the song. That was worse than just I don't know, which was better to have the big clunk right in the middle of the
and
song
all the
or to fade it.
17-year-olds just stopped listening.
Oh,
Pretty much.
Unbelievable.
Pretty much.
Unbelievable.
Before I cut you loose today, can we talk a little bit about your TED Talk?
Yeah.
Obviously, I would encourage anyone who's listening or watching the show, by all means, 2012, I think it was.
2018 was the TED Talk.
I thought it was 12. Okay.
It was over in Youngstown,
That's right.
Ohio. It's called How to Trick Your Brain into Falling Asleep.
Yes.
And it's something I stumbled upon by accident. I was telling you I do drumming workshops with people still. I do a bunch of stuff on Zoom these days. And at the beginning of the workshops, I would always start with this exercise. I would call it the 1 drum exercise. And in that exercise, we would just all play all of our African drums as if we were one person, and we would just go boom, 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 like a real steady pulse back and forth. And inevitably, the people would relax from doing that. And that was the whole reason I would do it at the beginning. Usually I have a lot of beginners in the room, and if they're worried, it makes it harder for them to have a good time and learn. So we do this exercise, and by the end, people would be really relaxed and chilled out, and we would talk about it a little bit. And I started to notice that was a pattern. Every time I got with people, I did that, people would feel relaxed. So one night, I had always had trouble sleeping, struggled with anxiety whole life, can never get my mind to turn off at bedtime.
Okay.
And one particular night, I really needed to get to sleep, and so, much to the chagrin of my wife, I sat at the edge of the bed and I started doing the drumming exercise on my lap. But I was doing it soft, and of course she looks at me, she rolls her eyes, and she just turns over and ignores her hippie husband. And so I'm tapping, tap 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 tap, right left, right left, right left, and the speed I'm going, it's about, in music speak, it is 16th notes at roughly 60 beats per minute.
Okay.
For everybody else, it's the sound of a ticking stopwatch.
Sure.
Right, left, right, left, right, left. And so I would just sit there, and I would tap and tap and tap. And after a minute or so, nothing was happening.
Okay.
I was hoping I would get that same vibe I got from the drumming workshop. And so I kept going. About 2-3 minutes in, I started to feel kind of sleepy, and I realized, all right, something is happening. And I thought to myself, well, I wonder what would happen if I just slow down. And then slow down some more.
Mm-hmm.
And as I slowed down, I could feel my whole brain just slowing down. And I put my head down on the bed, and when I opened my eyes again, it was morning.
Got it.
I was out 7.5 hours, which never happened for me. And so then the next night I did it, and then the next night, and I got it to work quicker. Over about a week, I noticed that what took 5 minutes took 3.
Got it.
I had literally trained my brain to train with the pattern, and then follow the pattern, and then just slow itself down. So literally slowing down the speed of my brain waves, slowing down my heart rate, slowing down my breathing.
Wow. Okay.
All at the same time, because all of my systems, right, the whole bodily system is attached to the brain, of course.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And when we are listening to fast music, right, it excites us. It makes us energized. But when we listen to slow music, that tempo helps to slow all the bodily systems down. So I just used that simple idea and simplified it. There's no music. It's just tapping. It's just rhythm. Connected the brain with the rhythm, helped everything to slow down. And I started to teach that in the workshops. I call it brain tapping.
Okay.
The only name that made sense.
Right.
And I was doing it for several years, and somebody who ran the TEDx event in Youngstown is a friend of mine, and she invited me out to tell people about this technique, because she had experienced it, and it was working for her.
Nice.
Wow. And 4.5 million people later,
I know
it's
incredible.
People are still watching it and still sharing
fantastic.
it.
It's a great talk. I mean, it is. It's really,
thanks.
really cool. And I mean, I would imagine that had to be pressure too.
Well, yeah,
just doing the tech talk. I mean,
absolutely. I've had some other guests on here that had done similar TED Talks, TEDx events everywhere, and they said the same thing, that you need so much preparation for, at least they were saying, they were so neurotic about the 9 minutes or the 14 minutes, whatever it is. And then they get up there, and it was like, wow. That was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Was yours easy? Did you feel comfortable when you were done?
You know what? I do now. These days, I do public speaking all the time, and I lead conferences and retreats.
Right.
And I was worked up as hell for
Were
that.
you really?
I was completely. Well, it was a format that I don't do.
Got it.
They want you to do real specific format. They give us a coach, which was all good, and it worked like a charm, so I can't complain about it.
Yeah.
But had I just done it the way I thought it should go, I probably would have been more relaxed.
Okay.
So again, I recognize that okay, well that's my comfort zone.
Right.
But I'm being asked to do this other thing, so I'm gonna do this other thing because it's a pain in the ass, I will grow from this, or I'll crash and burn. One of the two.
Because it's a different animal. That series is big.
Yeah. They do it that way for a reason.
Oh yeah.
And it turned out to be pretty helpful.
I say giving a TEDx talk or a TED Talk's an honor. I mean, is it really? I mean, yes, they're regionally done, but in the end, it's a revered program. It's a revered series.
Yeah, there's tons of good stuff on there.
There is.
No doubt.
And I used to tell people there's hope for humanity, no matter how bad things may seem in the news or whatever, when we see all these people willing to share really good ideas and information.
There's help
Ted's
out
amazing.
there. Yeah.
I think.
If you search it out, there's help out there for
I
a lot
think
of different things. And so many of those talks are really, really cool.
And they really emphasize that it's like you have one idea that the world needs to know.
Okay.
And if you have that, then you should do a talk.
Got it.
And I knew that this exercise is something I think little kids should be taught how to do, so they can self-regulate.
Right.
I know people like me with a mind that just won't stop could really use this. Are there people that it doesn't work for? Totally.
Well, sure.
Right?
We're all unique creatures.
Just like everything.
Yeah. For sure.
But I knew that enough people would get it if I delivered it well.
Absolutely.
They would get it, and they would use it and hopefully share it with people. That was the big.
Well, it looks like it's definitely being shared and
Well,
viewed.
how valuable is a serious 7 or 8 hours sleep? I mean, it's like,
oh my gosh,
so valuable.
especially
everything.
the older we get, especially to
Yeah.
keep up, to try to have the most life full of vitality as possible. We need it.
It makes the whole day better.
We absolutely need it.
Yeah.
So what's on tap here, gents? We're hopefully, knock on wood here, over the next, I'll say, year. Hopefully the next year, this time next year, I'd love to have you back, and hopefully it's looking different. Society's looking different then too.
I would love that.
And get back out to playing. You have to be chomping at the bit.
We are.
Man.
We've actually started rehearsing over. Kevin McDonald, my guitar player, has a store over in Irwin. Shout out to Main Street Music.
Yeah, right. Shout out.
You're welcome, Kevin.
Main Street Music.
Main Street Music with all the guitar. So we've been rehearsing just acoustically over there.
Right on.
Actually, this will be the 5th one.
Okay.
Which is wonderful. So everybody got their shots. We wanted to wait because we all have elderly. Older older parents. I'm gonna
For
get,
once, you're going to be in trouble.
I'm going to get beat. I'm going to get beat when I go home from Mother's Day. And we just want to keep everybody on the planet.
Absolutely.
And so yes, we've been rehearsing. We're going to rehearse tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We've tried to give every Wednesday, whoever can make it.
Right on.
And just get some new material, some new covers, and
Sure.
just to see each other too. So we have a show coming up. It is May the 29th at the Sirius Shrine in Cheswick. My buddy Ronnie from Moondogs is promoting us there. He's a super great guy. The Sierra Moss folks are super good to us. They do a lot of good work with kids with disabilities up there.
They sure do.
And so it's our show, and we have a great band from Bedford opening up for us. It's Matt Otis and the Sound. I believe it's $20, and if you go to the Sirius Shrine website, you can see tickets there.
Got it.
It's under a big pavilion. It's outside. Everyone's got to be masked to be there. I don't think there's any shot requirements or anything like that, but if you're sick, don't come. We don't want a super spreader.
Of course not.
And we're going to have a great time. It's an afternoon show. I think the show starts like at 4 o'clock.
Oh, right on.
And then Sun Kings go on about 6. Moondog's going to have some pierogies and stuff there. So you gotta. I mean, even if you don't like us,
Serious pierogies.
Joe's starving for carbs right now. He's been working out for 2 years here, and no carbs at all.
Just to
He's
cheat
ready.
that day after the gig. It's like
Pierogies. I'm going for the pierogies.
Oh man, I can't
Who
wait.
cares about that band?
I can't thank you enough, guys.
man.
I was so hopeful this day was going to happen. I know we tried to connect prior, it just wasn't right, and
it's all good, man.
That's what society was crazy. But thank you,
Eric. You're most welcome.
Really means a lot to me.
pleasure.
I would love to have you both back.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate
sure.
it. But
And
let's do it in a year.
Let's go out and play some music, guys.
Let's do
You
that.
know what I mean?
That sounds
That's what we should be doing.
We need the therapy, and we need to hang, and
we
we
need to
for
watch
people.
you and listen to you guys play. So that needs to happen.
Indeed. Let's
do it.
All right, friends. Thank you so much.
Eric, thank you.
All
Thanks,
right,
buddy.
Next show.
folks. We are out.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Ciao.
Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.